Okay, we're looking at a photo of a wood carving. If you look at this person, you can see this person is African. See the prognostication of the jaw and the big lips, the hair. This person is clearly Africoid also. The prognostication of the jaw, the nose, the hair, the braids. This is an 8th century carving, but guess who it is of and where it is from. Africans as the 8th century Vikings on the Norway sledge carving? Yes. As I told you, fellas, there are two white UK scholars who are tracing down the ancient myths, and they're uncovering that these myths were about black people, like the Black Celts. There really were Africans living who were called the Black Celts. You guys have been fooled about what real history was. White, black, everybody. All because of one group of people chose to hide the truth. But as Martin Luther King said, no lie can lie forever. The truth is coming out. And we have these group of people who get upset about it. If you're Caucasian, don't get upset about it. It's just the truth that's coming to the surface. We just have to change the way we were taught to believe. The things we were taught to believe about your own race and other people. So here's other paintings and other carvings. This is from York, England. Okay, so it reads, the picture above contains 8th century details on the Osberg, Norway sledge, described as a Viking sledge depicting Norse mythology. This Viking art, it is never noted. That means it's been hidden. They don't bring it out. They keep it in the background somewhere. But of course, nothing can be hidden forever. Okay, is that of the African / Negro / black seafaring population portrayed on the sledge, which differs from later, taller, big-bodied, long-haired Norse Vikings who arrived during the Germanic migration period. So when they got there were black people there. Okay. The above portraits are African in appearance, like the wood carving to the right, from 3000 BC in Roosecar, Holderness, Yorkshire, England. There were black people in England. These would be ancestors to Celts who were engaged by Caesar in the 55 BC in sea wars, where Caesar complimented their navigational skills, but went on to defeat them with his 400 boat navy. So went on to kick their ass. So if you're one of those types that got racial stuff, Caesar went on to kick their ass anyway. So if that gives you like a kudo or it makes you feel good, okay? And by phenotype, African Vikings, the caption calls their art Viking, could as well be related to the brown stick figure Sami Lap seafarers, as opposed to Sami hunters, seen in hundreds of Neolithic Norwegian rock drawings, as the yellow framed picture above with the gondolier standing mid-boat in the insert. Let's go look at that. And this is what they're talking about. Okay, this one here. Blacks introduced the art and seafaring lifestyle to their landlocked neighbors who from the Caucasus had no exposure to seas. Now remember, they found a painting down in Australia where black people landed in Australia about 50,000 years ago. The painting is about 50,000 years old, of a ocean-bearing boat with a high prow. Okay? You got to remember that black folks been on the planet for several hundred thousands of years. We didn't just sit around chucking spears. We got up and we moved around this planet. They found our bones 32,000 years old in Romania. Okay, for example, history notes the Sami built 2 elegant 24-oared stone ships for King Sigurd Slimbadinkin. Can't really read the last name. I'm not Norwegian. However, if you consider that it was the Phoenicians who created and named the nation states of ancient Europe, and in parentheses Europa, which is named after, I believe it was I think it was Egyptian princess is what Scotland's named after. Again, black people were already there, okay, in Scotland. We got to accept that fact and understand it. But I understand that it was a Roman general, I believe it was a Roman general, who was chased this princess named Europa all the way into the hills, the Caucasus Hills and all that. And they started calling it, that's what they say, according to history or legend, that's how they got the name Europe. It was always called Asia, though. Asia. Europe was called Asia back then. Anyway, from which we get Europe, was a Phoenician princess abducted by Zeus. But the real story is that there was a princess that they were after, an African princess actually, they're after, named Europa, and she ran into the Caucasus Mountains. They couldn't find her, all that kind of stuff. And every time they referred to those mountains, they referred to as by her name, because she was up there. I don't know if they ever caught her, though. I don't recall reading that. Anyway, continuing, then they would have been the same population of Semitic Hebrew traders who also populated Rome and went on to form Catholicism and Christianity, i.e. Semitic Phoenicians. Returning to the top, now this I'd have to do more research on before I accept this portion of it, but returning to the top picture, in the 8th century, the people whose seafaring lifestyles would be identified as Vikings were still African/Celts and have not yet met Germanic Northerners. Now, a couple of centuries later, the Germanic Northerners overran them, and the Vikings became those tall, big, blonde-haired guys. Okay, let's continue here, though. Those of the carvings have a prognathous or protruding jaw and have woolly hair, an African trait. These are also dwarfs, people of diminutive size, once found throughout. Now, the dwarfs were found throughout Italy, England, Scotland, Wales, and Europe as a whole. Now, what they're talking about, there's two UK scholars who believe that the Irish legend of the Fae people was based on these black dwarfs. And everywhere you go on the planet, you find that the dwarves beat the taller blacks there. They need to do their DNA and see how long they've been on the planet. I believe they actually go back to the Sans Bushmen too, but I'm not sure. But there's something about the dwarves that they spread all over the fucking planet. The Egyptians called them the Twa, and they said that's where they got their knowledge from, was from the Twa, these dwarfs out of Africa. Okay, so if these dwarfs were the teachers to the Egyptians, who knows where else they went and what they did? Think about that. Okay, those are the prognostic jaw. Let me just go back and look at this, just so there's no doubt. Okay, let's make this a little bigger. You see the lips? This is a wood carving also. Do you see that? Okay. Do you see that? The hair, the braids. All right, let's go look at the wood. Well, they show it right here. But look at the heads. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and reduce the size a little bit so we can read it. All right, so as a whole, they are not the big-bodied, larger-than-life people of legend and flowing blonde hair whose descendants, now living, we still identify as Viking stock today. So the Vikings that we call Vikings are not the original Vikings. Well, basically, we shouldn't call the pre-people Vikings. They were the people that are living there. The Vikings came in and killed them off in their little wars. So there were black people living there, as I had heard, but I didn't know if it was true or not. But more and more evidence is coming out. All right, see, the racial category of the 8th century Vikings is different from the 10th century and later Vikings. So obviously, in 2 centuries, these people got wiped out. And these 2 scholars of the UK who are uncovering all the legends and stuff like that, they talked about the giant black Fomorians, the black Celts, but basically those people, most of them were killed off by the Germanic tribes that came up there and conquered the lands. But there were people living there when they got there. And there was a seafaring race of people there. So our truth is coming out as African descent people. The most recent African descent people. Because we're all African. As that one strawberry blonde, redhead Genesis said, we're all Africans. But for us African Americans and African people now, the truth is actually coming out. Unfortunately, it was one group of people that buried all this stuff. One group of people buried all this and lied to their own people. So their people could feel good about themselves. Okay? Because it's all about feeling good. You want to feel good about yourself. Growing up, I didn't feel good being an African American in this country. In fact, I felt shitty. I didn't want to be black. And now that I'm learning real truth, I have real confidence and real feeling good about who I am as an African American. That's why learning the truth is so vitally important to us African descent folks. Our truth is out there. And it's not the truth that we were told and sold. Make myself clear? Let me say that before I actually sign out for good, let me say that I'm actually now proud to be black. When I was growing up, I hated being the race I was. I couldn't understand why people hated my race. Now I begin to understand. When it could be like a racial thing carried down within the Caucasian race, because everywhere they went, they found black people there. So it could be, based on, like Dr. Cress Welsing says, racial inferiority. No offense to my Caucasian viewers. And I'm really proud of you guys for actually watching this stuff and learning and understanding. That really shows that, the people that come to my channel are good people. They're not the trash that's out there. They're not one of the little big men that want to run around and hate on channels and promote white supremacy. You guys are good people. So you're the kind of people that we need on the planet. More like all of us, so we all just get along as people. Not a black man, but just a man. Not a white man, but just a man. Period. That's the goal. That's what I hope to see in my lifetime, even though I know I won't see that. But I point out there's always someone. Just in case, this is Norwegian. Okay? Those of you guys who are Norwegian, you can recognize the ancient carving styles. Also, this was taken with permission. This is a known photograph of the wood carving. Okay? People say, I don't want nobody to say I'm trying to fake it or something like that. As you guys know, I do teach the truth as I learn the truth, as I teach you the truth about life. And I realize the truth can make some of you not feel so good, but it's important that we recognize that the truth must come out. It's got to come out, because you yourselves, if you look inside your own head, what you think of black folks today, you can see why the truth does need to come out, so that black folks can grab a hold of our own truth, so we can begin to feel better about ourselves. When we feel better about ourselves, we tend to do better for ourselves. So in order for the black race to elevate itself, it has to learn its real history so that we can feel proud. Not the false pride, That angry black pride that those of you guys who are black in America know what I'm talking about. Not that fake shit, but real honest pride in being African descent people or black. And that's how we're going to improve our race. So those fellas that came to the channel and said, you know, I like what you do, but you shouldn't talk about this. And there's a time, this is now the right time, the right place. Well, I have your attention. Unfortunately, those types, they won't watch these videos. They'll still stay stuck in the dark. They'll still stay stuck in their feeling inferior, walk around groveling with their head down. Every time a cop comes near, shivering, because they have no racial pride in themselves. I feel sorry for them. But eventually, they're going to have to wake up also. So you guys who are African American and you're listening to this and you're watching this and you're learning some truth, you guys are the good ones. We're going to lift the race up. Whether those ones at the bottom want to be lifted, we can leave them down there. But we can lift the rest of ourselves up. Because they don't represent us. We're the intelligent blacks. We're the blacks that are trying to become better. Not the ghetto blacks that are smoking weed every day and all that. Every time I mention weed, someone's got something bad to say. But that's the truth of the matter right there. Can you see our glorious ancestors out there just smoking weed every day and not doing shit? If they did that, they never would have left Africa. They never would have done the things they did. And there's a group of people that want to take away their accomplishments. All because of this bad programming that was put upon them. See, they were tooled as much as we were. If you're Caucasian, you were tooled as much as our race was. In fallacies and lies and mistruths. You're just as much a victim as we are. Your perception of us is because they made you think that about us. And it's all evasive through educational system, all through society. It's already been proven that the educational system is warped. Here in America, the South wrote the fucking history books, as I've shown you recently. And they wrote us the fuck out of the history books. You guys that live in another country don't realize the first man to die in the Revolutionary War was a black man. And on the first battle, half the people were black. There were black people living here. They did their 7 years, then they were freed. The first slaves were the Irish. And here in America, that's why Americans traditionally look down on the Irish. Called them, low class and all that. They never could recover from that being first slaves. Look what it did to their race in America. Look what it did to their race over there in UK. Look how the England treats Ireland. Looks down upon the Irish people. There's also some stories of, the black folks that lived on the island of Ireland when the Caucasian people got there, interbreeding and stuff like that. But I don't know about that. I don't know if that's true or not. As to why the UK or people of England look down on Ireland. But I do know that, they farmed the Irish out like slaves. They brought them over here as indentured servants. And for years and years, you look at the TV shows, ancient old black and white TV shows, they always, portray the Irish as stupid. The cops, the beat cops, never the captains. And they had to work their way up too, past that stigma. The Irish became the overlords on the plantations. They were still indentured servants, working as overlords. That's why a lot of blacks have Irish blood. So we all need to recover. Black folks, Irish folks, everybody needs to recover and heal from the bullshit, all because of one agenda. That agenda of white supremacy, that being white made you smarter and made you better than any other race on the planet. You guys who are Caucasian, you've seen that one comedian. I can't recall his name now. He talked about how great it is to be white. It was funny. I laughed at it. He said he can go back to year 1 and he still gets served first. And he's right. You guys know he's dead on right. He said, what I got to worry about? I'm white. It is true. A lot of you Caucasian fellows don't realize what a privilege it is because your race is the dominant people on the planet. That's enough to make you feel good right there, though. You don't have to worry about, black folks getting their real history back to make you feel bad. You're already dominant race. Hey, you're white. You can go in any store in America. You can go anywhere in America. There are places in America I can't go to. I can't go to southern Idaho, where all the survivalists are. I can't stop in small towns there. There are places in California I can't go to, places in East Texas I can't go to. You guys can go anywhere you want, and you'll get treated like royalty. Even in Africa, you can go to Africa, you still get treated like royalty. The world bows to you. So there's no reason to feel bad because black people are uncovering their real truth and real history. See what I'm saying, fellas? So there's something good for all of us here to learn from. Peace.